Welcome back to the show, guys. Appreciate you guys sticking around. In today's episode, we are going to be talking about my top 5 reasons why Clubhead speed is going to absolutely change your game. Again, the opinions are my own, so if you disagree, let me know in the comments below. Would be more than happy to hear what you have to say. If not, don't really care. But anyway, jumping back into the show here. If you guys haven't subscribed already, please subscribe. If you guys are listening on Spotify, thanks for the download. And let's jump right into it. So again, the top 5 reasons why Clubhead speed is going to change your game forever. But before I share that with you, I want to share with you a quick story about a young boy who used to hit it very, very short, used to struggle with his game, and it used to just make the game a lot harder because of how short this little guy was. Now, he was fairly accurate, he putted decent, he chipped decent, but at the end of the day, not having the clubhead speed to back it up, he was constantly always playing with guys that he thought was just so much better than he was. And doing this, it can weigh on a young player so much that they could possibly even quit the game. And it just, in this respect, it just enhanced this individual's game to be able to make it almost as far as the PGA Tour. And that young player was myself. And it's one of those things where this goes all the way back to playing as a junior, having guys older than me bomb it further than me, have a much easier time playing the game. And when you first grow up playing the game, it's very easy. And we were taught to just kind of hit it really far and go find it, right? And I don't know why the game has kind of strayed away from that. But we're going to dive into, again, the top 5 reasons why I think the clubhead speed is going to essentially just transform your game as a whole. So number 1 is the more you increase your top end speed, the easier it's going to be to create better ball flight with less effort. So what I mean by that is when you gain a lot of speed, and most of us play the game where I want to swing at 90% effort on the golf course because that's where I have the most control, or I like using my 7-iron down to my wedges because I have the most control. But there's a reason for that. So if you're topping out or increasing the amount of clubhead speed that you currently have, it's going to just be even easier to hit less club even better and longer clubs even better because you have that control. You're going to be able to have that untapped reserve in the bank where if you're going for a green and maybe you got to squeak a little bit extra out of your clubs, or you're downwind and you need to make sure you get it airborne, having the ability to have that extra gear in the bag will save you anywhere between 1 and 3 shots around on its own. So it's a pretty cool thing to look at. And if you guys haven't dove into speed training very much, it's going to be something in the show we're going to talk about quite a bit because I truly believe that it's going to be one of the biggest differentiating factors in your golf game, especially in the year 2023. So number 2 is, like I said previously, you're going to have less club into holes. So what does that mean for you? Well, it's a lot easier to hit a wedge into a green because your percentage of hitting the green is a lot higher versus hitting a 7-iron. So statistically speaking, the closer you are to the hole, the easier it's going to be. Now, without changing anything in your golf game, if I was to give you 10 more miles an hour or even just 10 more yards with every single club in your bag, I can almost guarantee you that your game would change and change for the better because, like I said, if you have less clubs into holes, the more loft you have, the less dispersion you're going to have left and right, and the easier it's going to be just to be able to play the game without having to change anything in your golf swing. We're simply just giving you more yards off the tee. And what I would challenge you to do is play the forward tees at your golf course and then come back to me and let me know if you play better. Because I can almost guarantee you, if you're a double-digit handicap and you're a gentleman, you play from the blue tees, move up 2 tee boxes and play the entire golf course from the forward tees. Now, you might not score much. I can almost guarantee you're going to score better, but there is an opportunity where you might score the same, but you're going to have a lot easier of a time doing it. And that's the difference, is you're having these stress-free pars, you're having these 2-putt pars where you're actually disappointed from not making birdies because you have so many opportunities to do so. So having less clubs into holes is just going to change your game dramatically. And I'm a firm believer in that. And that's why I'm competing in the sport of long drive, and I compete in the sport of professional golf, and I'm looking to get back into that sport because I think gaining all the speed that I have over the course of the last few years has just dramatically changed the way that I play, and that kind of leads into my next point. Number 3 is going to be the percentage of a double-digit handicap hitting the green from 150 yards is about 30 to 33%. Now, for a PGA Tour player, that number doubles. Right? So it goes from 33% to essentially 63%. Now that's a dramatic difference. And obviously all their parts of their games are much better. Their ball flight is consistent. Their contact is consistent. But the biggest differentiating factor from PGA Tour players to double-digit handicaps is going to be that speed component. So the average PGA Tour player is hitting anywhere between a pitching wedge and a 9-iron into greens from 150 yards. most often double-digit caps are more often than not going to be hitting 7, 6, maybe even more depending on how old you are, because as we age, speed diminishes, testosterone diminishes, our strength diminishes. So if you're not focusing on speed, you're more or less going to be hitting more clubs into holes, and having the ability to have 1 or 2 less clubs into holes just takes the pressure off the spin loft left and right, and it just makes the green, percentage-wise, hitting the green just that much easier. And one of the biggest stats that I found, and this one is number 4, and this one's from TPI.com, and TPI explains, and Dr. Greg talks about, for every 3 yards gained, you can afford to lose 1 less yard worth of accuracy. That's pretty dramatic. So 3 yards gained is going to be the equivalent on average of about 1 mile an hour worth of ball speed. So every single time you increase your ball speed by at least 1 mile an hour for the average Joe, you can afford to be less accurate, right? So that means that every mile an hour I gain in accuracy, I can afford to lose at least 1 yard worth of accuracy with that ball speed gain. That's pretty dramatic. So like that means that I don't have to worry about trying to hit it closer. I don't have to worry about trying to make more birdies. That just allows me to actually just percentage-wise make less mistakes and have the ability to not have to worry about sticking it to 3 feet from 100 yards or even hitting the green from 100 yards, right? It's obviously that is very important, but for every 3 yards gained, you can afford to lose 1 yard worth of accuracy. So if you want to go into meters and cents, we can talk about that 3 yards is essentially 9 feet. So basically for every 9 feet you gain worth of distance, you can afford to be 3 feet offline more accurately, which is pretty crazy. So that means that in itself, and in my coaching program, we have it where if I can get you 5 to 10 miles an hour faster, normally your handicap drops anywhere between 2 to 4 shots almost immediately, right? So even just in the next few months, if you were to focus solely on any part of your game and you were to solely focus on just gaining speed, you are going to dramatically lower your handicap, and you don't even have to worry about hitting it better, hitting it closer, dispersion wise. You're simply just eliminating one factor, and that's going to be the speed factor. So again, I'm going to repeat this, and I repeat it a lot. If you're not focusing on speed, you are missing out in getting better and enjoying this game that we all know and love. So as an example, as a 15 handicap, actually that stat dramatically increases. So for every 3 yards you gain, you can be 2 yards offline. You can be 2 more yards offline. So that means the worse you are, the more you gain speed, the better off you can be by having the ability to still be shit and still be not accurate and not have the ability, but not want to be able to hit it closer. Like, you don't have to do that. That's the cool part about gaining speed, is it can change your game as a whole, and you don't have to work on any other part. So again, if you're not gaining speed, you're missing out big time. And then last but not least, obviously number 5 is, this one's an easy one. Everybody loves the long ball, right? It impresses your buddies. You blow it past them 30, 40 yards on tee shots. Everybody's admiring you off the tee. Your ego gets absolutely boosted. And it's a pretty cool feeling just to have that confidence, not necessarily an ego thing, but have the ability to step up on any tee playing with basically most guys you know, or at least your buddies for that matter. And you're like, yeah, I'm the longest guy in the group. And that is going to translate into the rest of your game, especially from a confidence standpoint. I know when I play, I'm just about, if not the fastest guy that I play with on most guys that I play with. And it's pretty cool to just to have that extra gear in the bag, where if you have to go after one, if you have to go, if you have clubs or holes into the wind where guys are pulling out drivers, but you're able to hit iron off the tee and put it in the same position. Or even if it's just a super, super long hole where maybe you're a double-digit handicap and you're hitting into like a 20, 30K headwind on a par 5 that's almost 550 yards, it might take you 4 or 5 shots to get there. But for somebody who's 10 to 15 miles an hour faster than you, they're going to be able to get there in fewer shots. Even if they're less accurate, it's not really going to matter. So again, like I said, if you guys are not focusing on speed, it's something that I'm super passionate about. It's something that I've gotten a lot of results from my clients for. And it's just one of those things that it can just dramatically change your game without having to work on your game, which is really cool. So getting in the gym, using speed sticks, doing medicine ball slams, like all the rotational stuff that you can incorporate, that is going to dramatically change your game. And it would be personally where I would start. I get a lot of questions in relation to Colton, what should I do first? Should I get fit for clubs or should I get lessons? Well, I would say neither. I would almost say gain 10 to 15 miles an hour with the clubhead speed, then get fit to then go for a lesson to make sure that you're actually delivering the club in an efficient way, and then make sure you get fit for some clubs to instill that you can actually make and compress and have the lies and lofts adjusted correctly. I mean, I can figure out a way to play with ladies clubs. It's not that challenging, but obviously it's not optimal for me. So again, in that order, that's going to be one of the better things that I would try to say to focus on is focus on gaining clubhead speed first, stuff that you can control essentially for free. Like you're probably already in the gym, or if you're not, get your ass in there, try to get a little bit faster, then find a coach you trust that has actually had these proven results and walks the walk himself or herself. And then finally get your club's lie and loft checked it and get stuff fit for you. Like buying a brand new $800 driver isn't going to do fuck all for your game if you're still swinging it and you're still slow as shit. So there's a lot more things that you can control and a lot more things that are in your power to change your game without even having to work on it, which is pretty dang cool. So I really appreciate you guys tuning in for this episode. I would really like to hear your number one takeaway. Drop it in the comments below. And as always, stay fast, and we'll see you for the next one.